Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the season finale of The Sandman. Great season finale. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we are picking up with the Corinthian saving Rose and her brother. And it's like, wait, finally piecing it together, like, you're a dream. And he's like, yeah, and you're the vortex. We finally get to meet after all this time. And for him, it's like, right, with you becoming the new center of the dreaming, you could have the power to wipe out Morpheus once and for all, and we can finally be free of him. I get to finally be free. I get to, because that's all they all want is freedom to be themselves and not chain bound by... Because Morpheus had that whole thing, once again, in episode 8, that they're all bound by what they are. No one gets to change. We're all set in the roles that we were given, and that there's no changing that. And obviously, the Corinthian wanted his own freedom to be and do what he wants, especially in a place like this where he gets to run rampant, and also telling Rose, like, right, you think Morpheus is having you watched by his raven because he wants to protect you? It's like, no, the moment you fall asleep and enter his room, he's going to kill you. That's how it is. So... I'm going to come back in an hour, going to enjoy the celebrations, and he's a special honored guest. And I thought it was really interesting where he talks to the crowd. He talks to them about, like, I see you. Despite everything, we don't do what we do out of profit or anything like that. We do it because we like it. We kill because we kill to kill, because it is what they do. It's kind of in their fabric. It's in their nature. And we... He's kind of like, we should be proud of ourselves. And it's like, right, look at yourself, close your eyes. And in that moment, his master shows up. And Morpheus Dream confronts him about what his role was. You were going to be my greatest accomplishment. And you kind of ended up becoming his greatest failure. Because you had a role to play. Once again, like every nightmare's role is to reveal a human's fear so they can face it. But this, and he's like looking at all this, is like all these monstrosities you've created. You've inspired the worst in humanity. You were supposed to be like the other side of things, the nightmare, to reveal the best in humanity, giving them the strength to move forward, the strength to face their fears. But you decided to give in to like your inclinations, your darker instincts, and wanting more, wanted to be in the human world so you can kill. The fact is, there's almost this level of what Dream was holding against Galt last episode, in episode 8, being like, oh, like you wanted to rule a kingdom of your own. But she was like, no. To him, it is. Like this world where he can find so many like-minded people, so many people inspired by him, And he's like, right, you don't think a dream can be killed? So let's find out. And he ends up stabbing Dream in the hand. He's like, that's not possible. You shouldn't be able to do that. Because for him, the balance of power is starting to shift. Because Rose coming in more and more as a vortex, she's taking away his power. And he's getting stronger just because it's like, right, all the people here gathered, all those serial killers, like he's kind of like, they're all in their dreams. And those dreams are merging together into one place. Each one, like we see like... with at least like Nimrod and the Good Doctor, and like what they do. One of the guys like chopping up bodies, Nimrod skinning people, the Good Doctor cutting open people, taking their organs, and people like him. And now that Rose is at the center of the dreaming, he's able to kind of get more powerful while Dream is weakening. And so both of them do their thing to try and get to Rose, because at first it's like, oh, she steps into each one's separate dream, but the moment she steps back, all those dreams are kind of colliding into one. It's just, and Dream tells her the truth. If you continue what you're doing, the dreaming world and the waking world, as I kind of figured that's what the grand scheme was, is like, right, it's going to collapse upon itself. What I thought was an interesting line of dialogue is because an entire universe was lost previously because he didn't handle the vortex situation right. And you're like, oh, what universe was that then? I mean, I guess like we know there was like a multiverse and stuff like that. So was it a universe similar to this one, or was it just a completely different universe? That was just kind of, because yeah, this is definitely leaning. Obviously, the show's always leaned in, even just from the beginning, has leaned into like this like celestial angle to it. Which obviously you get angles to that with Lucifer, but not the dimension hopping and you get it to some small degree, but not to the large degree that is the general, like, Lucifer and, like, Sandman comics, to my understanding at the very least. And both of them are trying to tell, like, right, that's what the Corinthians not telling you, that everyone will die. Like, even if you live, everyone you care about, everything will end because you as the vortex. If you die, then maybe we can spare everyone else. And the Corinthians telling her, don't listen. And in that moment, she brings up the barriers, and he gets weaker again, and Morpheus goes back to gaining his strength back. And just in that moment, it's just like, do you know why I do what I do, Morpheus? It's like, I just wanted to feel what it's like to be human, you know? Because obviously he never asked to be made what he is. And he's like, right, are you going to send me back to the dreaming? He's like, no, I'm not. I made you, and I'm going to unmake you. Like, what you've done isn't on you. He's like, this is my failure that set all of this in motion. So he's taking responsibility on that front. But it's like, because the Corinthian is like, you, like, keep yourself so detached from the humans. He was like, I hold, like, all their consciousness is in me. And if I'm not careful, it will consume me, or it consume all humanity. And he was like, or is it just you afraid to feel anything? Because he wanted to feel something. They all wanted to feel something. He just went about it the most twisted way to feel something. And in that moment, he unmakes the Corinthian. He's like, I hope Rose does the same thing to you. And he's like, maybe, like, you know, and all that's left of the Corinthian at his core is like the little skull that is, you know, his centerfold. And the Morpheus plans to remake him just at some point in time. Basically killed him to kind of put him in timeout and will go about rebuilding him, making him a better nightmare next time round. But him talking to all of them, it's like, right, now that your dream is gone, because everything that they held was based on a Corinthian. He basically gave them free reign to be what they are. But it's like, you have been deluding yourself into believing that you're right, that in some twisted reality that you're the victims in all this. So you're able to delude yourself into believing this, because these dreams, it's like, it's time for you to wake up from these dreams. It's time for you to feel everything, and that's going to be your punishment. Everything that you've ever done to your victims, you're going to go out there and live with it till the end of your time. And, you know, we see, like, the good doctor, she calls the police on herself. Nimrod kills himself. All of them leave, and, you know, it's like, right, some of them are going to turn themselves in, probably even turn to their own, like, means of killing against themselves. Luckily, Rose and Jed were able to get out of there, but obviously, you have Lyda having the baby, and then everyone else from the house is confused. You're like, wait, did you know that she was pregnant? It's like, yeah, don't worry about that. Oh, this is my brother. Yeah, let's kind of focus on him, and not the fact is that Lyda got pregnant, super pregnant out of anywhere, even though you guys have seen her on a daily basis. She goes to see Lyta, which is like, okay, now, because Rose is trying to figure things out. Her grandma said, like, right, you guys can come live with me. I was planning on, like, adopting you guys anyway. She had, what was the last episode or episode before last, she was talking to Mr. Holdaway about that. But now it's like, she wants her great-grandmother to look after Jed just in case something happens to her. She goes to sleep and doesn't wake up, because she doesn't know how this whole thing with Dream is going to play out. It's like, one of us is going to have to kill the other, potentially. And it's like, and for her, it's like, I don't want to kill him. But Lyda was all about it. It's like, no, you need to kill him. Like, just kill him and everything would be okay. But she's like, I don't want it. Like, she has beef with Morpheus, but she doesn't want to be responsible for killing him. Lyda has extra motivation for wanting him dead. It's like, yeah, I don't want him coming after my baby eventually, because he plans to take the baby back, because the baby belongs in the realm of the dreaming. Which does beg the question, like, would he ever keep up with that? Like, how long would he wait? Would he wait till Lyda died to eventually take the baby? But what about when the baby actually lives a life? Like, you know, what's going to happen with a baby that was born in the dreaming, living in the reality? Like, that's not, once again, there's threads of, like, some other supernatural stuff in this world that I'm like, what are those threads going to be? I keep going back to it. Rosemary and that, like, amulet that protects her, like, what's that going to be like? I mean, she never had to live her life in fear, but you never know, there could be consequences for putting that much power into a human's hand. It's mainly for defense. As long as no one tries to hurt her, it's fine, but we'll see how, you know, maybe that's not the loose thread I'm thinking that it is. Maybe it's just like a thing in the universe, but maybe it's something that never really gets answered. Even if it's something from the comics, maybe it never gets answered, or maybe it is something that does. If it, like I said, it just depends on how they decide to handle that, whether they want to make that into a thing, if it isn't already a thing in the comics. But, Rose had to decide because, right, you know, she's got to stay awake, but she's also afraid to go to sleep because Dream could come after her. So the question is now, because they have to end this one way or another. And so when she dreams, she ends up in everyone else's dream. And it seemed like Hal's dream was finally like coming to terms with both sides of himself, because I think he was kind of at war with his own identity, and now like both sides, just him as Hal and him as his Dolly persona, like being able to kind of come together, like they were in unity for the first time. They were like, each one was like, oh, rather than seeing them all being part of the same person, he sees it like, oh, these are just masks I wear. But it's like, no, each one is a part of who you are. They represent you as a whole, both sides coming together in unity. Then there's the whole situation with Chantel and Zelda. I think it was Chantel that was stuck repeating the same thing over and over again because she didn't have her other half there to kind of balance her out. Zelda was there to be like, no. And just when she was kind of, Chantel was stuck on like loop, Zelda was able to kind of break that loop. Then there was the whole Barbie situation of her, on her mythical adventure, and found Ken, seemed like getting head from the receptionist at the hospital, which they kind of set that up as a thing, and it was just kind of like, she's like, I can't believe, he's like, yo, babe, this isn't what it looks like. And then because because of the vortex in her is going wild, she's sucking everything and everyone up, and they all get sucked into a vortex, including her brother. So it's like, but Dream is like, right, there's damage, but it can be undone. But the only way to end this permanently is if you die. So then you had Unity finding her way into Lucien's library, because she's trying to find the book on, there's a library where everything that has ever been written and everything that will eventually be written will be here, which includes, she's hoping it will be a book including the life that she would have lived. Which is interesting to know that. I didn't really know the ins and outs of that book, that library. I mean, the dreaming being its own world, I almost kind of expected every word to be but it's like, right, they go hand in hand. Like any word, like of course, like the anything from the waking world would find its way in the dreaming world. It makes sense because this is where people come dreaming. They probably kind of come up with the concepts for their books. Just thinking about it, but it all kind of starts in the dreaming world, which actually leads to an interesting confrontation between Dream and Rose, because he doesn't want to kill her, but it's the only way to save everyone's life. And then Fiddler's Green shows up to be like, please stop, my lordship. It's like, the fact is, he left to be, walk the path of the human, and he talks about that dreams exist because humans dream, not the other way around. And that basically the focus of that humanity is something that vibrant and vivid humanity is kind of what's so important, and that's such a thing to be treasured above any marvel of power. Which obviously Dream is like, I can't like punish you. In my heart, I can't punish you, but you will have to return your role. He was like, oh, of course, I never meant to abandon my role. And she's like, who are you? He's like, not a who, what? Fiddler's Green. He's like, he's a place. Because that's what it seemed like, but he was like personified as a person. It's like, right, he just wanted to walk around as a human. And I think as a dream in that form, it's like, makes sense why you'd want to experience humanity. And he thanks Rose. It's like, right, thank you for being human with me. And I thought that was kind of lovely. He's like, when you meet your death at the end, do come, like, walk through the grasses of my fields, And before Dream could kill Rose, because it's the only way to end all of this, Unity shows up, and we find out, for her, she was originally supposed to be the vortex. Sadly, when she went into the sleeping sickness, eventually, because there's always supposed to be a vortex every so often, and she was supposed to be this age's vortex until she was in a coma, in a sleeping for so long that it eventually passed to her great-granddaughter. And in the moment, it's like, right, take all that you are as the vortex and give it to me. And she took it out, and it was manifested as a like glass heart like that, which was in my brain, and it goes like, oh, I can't help but think Kingdom Hearts and stuff like that. Kind of remind me of almost like, oh, the princesses of hearts and stuff like that. But then like Lucien and Dream kind of almost recognized it. And then the moment Unity was talking about her golden-eyed person, and you're like, golden eyes. She's like, yeah, I've never met anyone with it. And Dream is like, I have. I was like, because I didn't even correlate Unity referencing the golden eyes. I didn't even put that together. And then like it cut into like, Desire smiling. And I'm like, oh because I kept asking, who's the baby daddy? How did she get pregnant? Because once again, she grew up, she was in the age she was in a coma, like, to, you know, yes, current day there's technology where you could do that and it'd be super fucked up, but like someone did that to her, got her pregnant. I was like, that's super fucked up, especially considering she was in a coma. Well, it turns out it was Desire. He set all of this in motion. It's like, once again, this has always been his plan, well, their plan, sorry, the entire time. So I thought that was fascinating. Sadly, Unity died in the process to save Rose, but it's like, yeah, like, because now it's like, for her, it's like, I should have died a long time ago, but I lived long enough to see my granddaughter, like, in this world. I never got to meet my great-grandson, I mean, my great-granddaughter, but I never got to meet my great-grandson, but knowing you guys are out there, you're going to be taking care of each other, that's what matters. And she was able to kind of it's not what her life was meant to be until, like, you know, because Desire interfered with what her life was supposed to be. Because if she had become the Vortex back then, Morpheus would have just killed her when she came to power. But it's like Desire needed things to play out a certain way. And once again, why? I guess because while she was out, I guess like maybe in that time she was about to come into being a Vortex. So maybe that's why Desire decided to strike when they did. You know. And got Morpheus locked up when they did. I'm assuming that they feeding the desire of the humans who, was it Roderick who wanted his son back? His eldest son, probably feeding that and manipulating it for your own purposes. But Rose is allowed to go and is like, right, you're children of the Endless. So you are free to go, and she wakes up and everyone did kind of experience those dreams because Ken is in trouble the next day. He's like, come on, Barbara, like, it was a dream, come on. So it's like, so they're pseudo-aware. I guess he must have woke, I guess what I thought was like, oh, they're all aware of what happened. It's like, well, Lyta is. She's the only one that's fully in the know about it. And Jed. But I think there's this situation with Ken, it was probably in reference to Barbie, like, dreaming about him cheating on her. He's like, come on, baby, it was a dream. Like, what are you even talking about? Nothing happened. It was you dreaming something. And she probably, like, woke up super pissed about it. It was like, yeah. And even Hal remembers somewhat of his dream, but he, something clicked inside of him, and now he wants to go, you know, take his chance at Broadway and move to New York, to give it a shot. But he wants to sell the house. And, Chantel and, Zelda decided, like, no, we'll buy the house from you. So it all kind of ultimately ends up working out. You know, everyone's dreams kind of coming true. And Lyta and, you know, now, like, Lyta with Rose and Jed are going to be working together. It's like, right, they are the family now. They're going to be looking after each other. But you can see that look on Lyta's face because she knows what the future holds. Like, right, Dream might come after my baby at some point in time. But also Jed being like, using what the Corinthians said of like, yeah, you don't need a name. You know, if you don't have a name, you can't get in trouble. But I think for her, it's still that worry because it's like, right, she still has to do this without Hector. And she doesn't even want to name the baby Hector because, right, there can only be one Hector, my Hector. So I'm curious to see what happens there. Once again, your baby was born into dreaming. That's got to do something. It's got to be something. I mean, no wonder Dream wants to take the baby, but will there be consequences for... I mean, he needed all the dreams and nightmares to not live amongst the world. They had to be brought back at some point in time. And I think that still applies. So we'll see, but maybe Dream's going to wait till the very end until, like, the baby has lived its life to be, their life, because I think they say, like, it's a boy, so we'll see what that ends up becoming. But in the aftermath of everything, Dream went to go visit and talk to Desire, and I was like, ooh, I'm like, oh, you're sneaky, and how devilish you are. I'm like, we've only got a tiny taste of you this season, but I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like you, Desire. I'm gonna like you a lot, because you're gonna be that sibling that I hate, but you're gonna be the sibling that I love to hate. I could tell. And just that devilish smile, and just like being so like, oh, like flipping and just like flipping around and rolling around the tail and everything, and just like, ooh. If Lucifer wasn't a devil, I swear you were. Just how devilish you are. It's like, oh, like, once again, it's like, oh, I dislike you because you're so manipulative, but it's like, oh, I love you because you're so evil, and I love it. And just being like, oh, did you figure me out? And Dream was like, no, you covered your tracks really well. the fact that, and I love it, you, despair, delirium. I was like, oh yeah. Once again, I love that alliteration. But it's also like, right, do you really think you can you're strong enough to stand against me? Death, destiny, and then desire just stay silent for a while and just no. It's like, good. Because next time you cross me and mine, I will not treat you as family. Because it is this thing of like, I guess they come to that situation. He's like, you know what would happen? He's like, what's the whole point? To put me in a position where I would spill the blood of an endless. He's like, you know what that would come to? And Desire is like, oh, but come on. I mean, you came pretty close. It sounds like it happened in the past too. And I'm wondering, is that what the Nada thing is? And I wonder, did Desire kind of manipulate her, and Dream is aware of it, but it's like, oh, 10,000 years later, you're still pulling the same shit, huh? Essentially the very age-old fuck around and find out type of situation. Because it's like, right, we are here to serve humans. Humans don't serve us. We only exist because on some level, they believe we exist. So, you know, we are in service to them, and we're not meant to manipulate them. In fact, they manipulate us, and that's the point. You can't go changing the cycle of how this whole thing works. So, think about that next time you try to, like, make a move against me. And I love that. Like, oh, I really got under your skin, didn't I, Dream? Next time I'll spill blood. I'm like, ooh, I love that line. No, it was like specifically, I think the wording was, I'll draw blood next time. I was like, ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I was like, that's so good. I'm like I said, I think Desire is going to be that person. Like, what, once again, fully, to some extent, it's like, right, kind of what the Dreams and Nightmares had an issue with when it came to Dream. I think, like, you know, as a fellow Endless, Desire, I'm assuming Despair and Delirium feel exactly the same way. You know, I mean, it's a little understandable with Desire and Despair being twins and everything, but maybe they still feel the ire of just like their brother always lording over them being better. Like maybe he's always acted like he's better than all of them. That he's so special, that he's so amazing. But what, you know, we didn't even meet Delirium, but what is Delirium's take on all of this? The fact is the family is kind of split down the middle like that, even split. So I guess the missing sibling will be the one to be like, kind of change the tide. So it is, so once again, I'm back to it. So it is 7 then. So it's like 3v3, and the missing sibling would have been the deciding factor. So what that's all about, whether Despair has anything to do with that or not, probably not, but there's something there. But I do like that this whole situation has caused a change in Dream, because Dream's up there making new nightmares and new dreams, and he ends up remaking Gold and bringing her back as a dream. For him, it's like, you were trying to tell me something, and I wasn't willing to listen to both you and Lucian, but I was so busy trying, like, so much changed in the century I was gone, that when I came back, I was so busy trying to keep things the same. But it's like, no, things change, time passes, and things couldn't stay the way they were forever. I kind of got to allow things to have a chance to grow. New dreams, new nightmares, and now Gold is able to kind of be the dream she wanted to be. And it's like, right, I'm going to be busy with these new nightmares and dreams. You mind taking over for a little while, Lucian? And she's like, it would be my pleasure, my lord. And I'm like, once again, showing that, yes. And I think Lucian kind of gets what she wants in the regard of he's changed. And it's like, to some extent, despite the crazy ride it took to get here, he has changed and he has been saved. Also, we find out about Rose's book, was it Into the Night? It's like, yeah, she's like, it's pretty good. I mean, granted, it doesn't talk very favorably doesn't put the king in the very most favorable light, but still. But we do see Rose is living with, obviously, her brother, Lyta, the baby. It seems like Hal and Carl got together. So it's like, hey, like, it's kind of like a happy ending all around. And it's like, hey, that's nice. And then we get our stinger at the end where Lucifer's just kind of like bored with everything. You know, it's just like, no, none could work. I could care less. But then the Lords of Hell have gathered because they're like, yo, we're going to back you with you going after Morpheus. It's like, oh, cool. And she's like, allow me to think about it. They're like, no, we don't want you to think about it. We want you to act upon it. That's what they said. They command it. And I almost like, there's a look on Lucifer's face like, what the fuck did you just say? Yes. of course, I will take action. Like, Lucifer's almost like, who the fuck do you think you are to order me around? It's like, all right, once again, fuck around and find out. And they're like, okay, like, good, we're glad to hear you're going to make a move. Which Mazikeen's like, I wouldn't trust him. It's like, no, I wouldn't either. Doesn't change the fact is he isn't wrong. And it's like, so what are you going to do? She's like, ooh, something that's going to make God livid and bring Morpheus to his knees. I'm like, dude, I really like her as Lucifer, dude. It's just like, she brings her own, like, charm and devilishness to the role, you know? Once again, I still feel like Desire is even more devilish than the devil himself. Well, herself. So I just think that's so interesting. Because the plan is like, oh, like, we'll invade the human world. We'll take over the dreaming world, then the human world. And even the Silver City. It's like, well, you were the rebellious angel before. That sure as shit didn't work out for you. So, sure, round 2 after taking over the dreaming world. Your father super won't be happy about that. You thought he had beef with you before. Oh god, you take over the dreaming realm, you start crossing, trying to like expand hell's control of other realms. Oh, that's super not going to work. That's going to super piss God off. But God's, you know, and just Lucifer alone, God's super hands off to some extent. So I'm assuming the same thing applies in this one. I wonder will we actually meet God in this or not? I mean, obviously in Lucifer you get to meet, I mean, it's not going to be the same God. It's 2 different universes. But still, I wonder what Lucifer has planned. We are at the very least setting up Lucifer's plans going forward. And obviously there's still Desire, Despair. We still need to meet Destiny and Delirium and find out about the missing sibling situation. But maybe we get more of the siblings in the future. Some recurrences from some of the characters we met, like Johanna Constantine, where we get more of her in the future. I mean, it's just one of those things of like how ethereal this show is. I'm like, I actually can't even like grasp what the show, like without the context of a comic book, like what the story actually, because I don't know what the story, like I remember I read the smallest things about the Sandman years ago, just like reading like Wikipedia stuff, and I might have skimmed through stuff, but I don't remember anything. I remember, like, the only things I remembered was, like, Morpheus and Death. Those are, like, the only things, and knowing that Lucifer came from it, because obviously that's where the show Lucifer came from. So that's my only tenuous connection of knowledge I know. So, like, because of how ethereal all of this is, I have no idea what even a future, I mean, once again, they lay the groundwork of, like, alright, you got Desire on one front trying to take you down, you got Lucifer wanting to take you down, and kind of got her own plans, and then it's like, well, also, like, 2 of your other siblings are on Desire's side too as well, so that complicates things. And Hell is rallying up its army, so what that looks like in the future, what adventures, what stories get told. You kind of dealt with the whole Vortex thing. Is there going to be anything more with that? Once again, like, what recurring characters will we get? Eventually, like, you know, the Corinthian would come back, but it's probably going to be like a very, very, very long time before he decides to remake the Corinthian and then something else, because it's like the world can kind of do without a Corinthian right now in his horror. So, but I'm very stoked because I thoroughly enjoyed the show. Once again, as a whole, even more so at the end here, I'm like, dude, this show is super not going to be for everyone. I used the example early on. I think it's legitimately going to be like Legion. Like, if you're into it, you're super into it. If you're not, you're not. And I'm curious also where people who've read the comics, who are into it, might feel about the adaptation. Like, they might be like, okay, I wish they had done... Because to my knowledge, they changed certain things here and there to update it, but from my understanding, it is being very faithful to the comic, but maybe even just like some of the stuff getting adapted, maybe they didn't really like the way it was changed, or like, because a lot of people in their head, especially if they're true, like, Sandman comic fans, it's like, once again, it's like the source material is one thing. When you spent so long with that source material and you hear it through someone else's voice, especially considering this has also been turned into like an audio book, like, you know, so like even that comparison, because that's very like a straight adaptation of the comic. This is an adaptation, but also doing its own thing in some regards as well too. So I don't know, it's just a really interesting conversation about, you know, adaptations and stuff like that. But I super don't think this show's going to be for everyone. I hope a lot of people do watch it, because I want to see another season of the show. Which, speaking of, at the time of me recording this, which it is August 6th at the time of me recording this, there is no word about a Sandman Season 2. Once again, to be fair, the season literally dropped, roughly at the time of recording this, at the very least, it dropped 36 hours ago. So it was like, yeah, like, they're not going to, they rarely announce new seasons unless something did super well. It usually will probably take a week or two before, sometimes even longer, before we get confirmation on that stuff. So fingers crossed, hoping that more people watch this, because like the more people that watch it and the general reception of the show will determine whether or not Netflix decides to greenlight it. I have no idea if the whole Warner Brothers thing, because everything going on with Warner Brothers Discovery recently with, if you kept up with the news, everything that's going on recently with some decisions that the current head executive, like, was it David Zaslav, like, he's been chopping stuff down left and right and decisions about going forward. What effect that will have on this? Granted, it's Netflix, so they get to make those decisions, but I don't know if, like, Warner Brothers making decisions, like how that will affect this. It's a licensing deal, but still, so I don't know if that will have any effect on this. Like I said, I don't think it would, but I think it's still in the realm of possibility. And I mean, once again, it still also comes down to viewership and general reception. So I have thoroughly enjoyed this series, and I'm so excited to see, once again, having no idea what to fully expect from this show, be so excited to see what a season 2 looks like, what stories we get, once again, what characters will return. So fingers crossed, hoping for a season 2. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.